All right, back again like we never left. Good to see you and good evening to you. And let me say happy new month. Yes, it's a new month and I'm super happy, super delighted to be here again on another edition of World Bank Kingdom Conversation. Good to know that you joined in. And yes, the week has been a very hot one. So far, it has been very hot. The sun has been blazing, but we thank God still. And I need to say this also, that this week has also been crazy. There's been quite a number of losses everywhere. Yes, this week doesn't make it any special from the previous weeks that we've lost people, but it just feels somewhat heartbreaking to find that these losses have been back to back. And I just feel the need to, extend a hand of hope and comfort to someone. I'm praying that God will comfort you wherever you are in case you lost someone this week. Yes, back to where we are. It's a new month, and of course a new month means that we have a new theme. And just as we said last week, as we were wrapping up, that the theme for this month is going to be very interesting, and it's on this theme of this month is going to be very interesting, and it's on this theme of why intelligent Nigerians remain stuck financially. But I like to simply say, why are intelligent Nigerians financially broke? And this thing for me is personal. It's personal, because I've had bursts of frustrations. You can just be thinking about life, and I just get frustrated in between, because I know people. When I say I know people, I mean personally, brilliant people. Sometimes I'm with these people, and just by the virtue of being with them, I can also feel like I'm a brilliant person. Yes, I don't like to think of myself as a very brilliant person, but you can just be around these people and you can sense that, wow, I'm also like a brilliant person. But when you look at things deeply, there's nothing really financially. When I say financially, I mean they are financially struggling, right? And when I also say it's personal for me too, I like to think about it for myself, to say, okay, if I consider myself, I'm not saying I'm very intelligent, but at least I get sense more now. Like, at least if I get sense more, I suppose the cash in or cash out one or two, based on one or two, my brothers and sisters will feel me, they will know what I'm saying. And so it's on that note that we are here to really dig deep into this conversation. Why intelligent Nigerians remain stuck financially? Because really, if we are to look at it, economic power, you can be the most spiritual person ever and be economically downtrodden. And all of these things tie into each other. I was listening to a message, and I think it was Apostle Simon I was listening to, and was talking about how how children can see their parents serve God wholeheartedly. They see them serve God with every sense of intelligence, with integrity, even they're intelligent, but they can't attribute anything that is making sense financially. And by the virtue of that, they get to. So we can't overemphasize the need for economic emancipation, but not to take the focus away from what we are to talk about here. I have a very wonderful guest, and I must say that I'm privileged to have such a wonderful guest here. It's my hope that we will be able to really dig deep, and I'm hoping that this thing will be liberating for someone out there, even for me too. I'm hoping that it will be a form of liberation for someone out there to really find answers, to find something that helps them break free from this financial stagnancy. And once again, good evening. Welcome to World Bank Kingdom Conversation. My guest today is Mr. Myus. Good evening.
Good evening, Kayode.
All right. Yes. So just in case you're meeting Mr. Myus is simply, I was asking him for his profile, but I guess he was trying to be humble. Yes. But just in case you're meeting him, he's a very great man. He's an objective technical analyst. Is also a life coach, and is an entrepreneur. He's also an AIpreneur. I'd like to get in the deep of that, but not to take the focus away from here. Good evening.
Good evening. So
yes, how are you today? I can see you're looking all fresh, looking all dapper. All right, so for this, this month, like I said, is special. We've also taken the effort to not just come here and just talk and talk. We've taken the effort to go around town in our community, in our little community here, to also get the thoughts of everyone outside on why they think.
And you have to keep the law or observe it. So one of the laws is like income. For example, we struggle financially if the income is not up to what it should. For example, now Nigerians, even if you're earning $1 million, it's not about what you spend, it's about what you save. So if I'm earning 500,000, for example, and I'm saving 400,000, I'm better off than someone that is earning $1 million and can't keep 100,000. So that is where we build wealth from, income. Then the income, as in you save, and then try to invest your savings into investment, as in put your savings into investment, such that the investment can grow over time. Now, not everybody is educated about investment. Not everybody is educated about savings. So you might be intelligent, very, very well, intelligent, but these laws that governs the building of wealth, if you don't know it, there's no how you can prosper in it.
I think it's our Nigerianness, and that is both from the individual point of view and from the collective point of view. First, we have systems in place that do not equate effort into tangible value, right? So that means a lot of times, even if it's not going to give you much, at least the effort you put into something is supposed to give you some return. But our system does not particularly allow for that. Then there's the individual Nigerianness to it, and the individual Nigerianness is excellence, diligence, integrity of work, how we're able to capture the value that is innate, what we have within us, and turn it into actual value. We don't have so much of that. And I think that's why Nigerians are stuck financially, if that makes sense.
I think most times intelligent people are broke in this nation due to so different reasons. Sometimes it may be due to lack of financial intelligence. Some of them are in business, but due to lack of the knowledge of the business or enough capital can make them to be broke. Some may be broke due to mismanagement. Because I know people working, earning enough, but even that's enough is not enough for them. Whereas that's not enough can be enough for some other people. I cannot really say because it differs individually. Because some people that are broke, their level of brokenness is what other people are thriving on.
All right, so there you've heard some of our community members express their thoughts on why intelligent or why many or some intelligent Nigerians remain stuck financially. But let's get to the deep of the conversation. And before we came on here, myself and Mr. Myus we had a conversation earlier about the driving of the conversation, and he was talking about how he had he had these notes from way back also about treating the same issues like this. And I think I've also had this same conversation with a friend, but we just couldn't get to an answer. But that's why I said this month I'm hoping that we can find answers and someone can find liberation. To start with, then, and I'm sure we're going to get into the deep of your own notes too. It's as simple as that. Why are intelligent Nigerians stuck financially?
Okay, so you see, this conversation it's going to take a different route, and I just want us to flow with it. Yeah. So I'm going to tell a story. And the story is this. I remember back then, a couple of years ago, there was this guy I met, and he used to be a first-class student. Good. And this idea of, there's this special student in your class, and the lecturer is like, this one would get through with life. This one will not have any issue. That kind of vibe, yeah? And to my greatest shock, I saw him driving Uber, and please, there's nothing wrong in driving Uber. Let's state that very clear. But when you look at the level of intelligence he had then, that level of intelligence did not promise the life he was living. And I had a conversation with him, like, okay, bro, what's up? And he said, there was one time I now engaged him. He said, oh, bro, I went to school, I studied, I had very good grades, which I could testify to all of that. Then, but he said something. He said, but nobody taught me how money works. And, for a moment, it actually struck me, because if you look at it, that young man that I met about 5 years ago is not alone. Nigerians is full of intelligent people, very hardworking people, people with awesome creativity. But then, I've come to understand that the issue is not intelligence, okay? And that is why the problem we have is financial intelligence. When we were playing the video, somebody talked about our personality, Nigeria as a whole, our Nigerianness and all that. And you would notice something, that even our educational system has trained us on how to pass exams, get degrees, but has not really done justice to how to build wealth, understand money, and understand the economic system. And that is why you can be very intelligent and you can still be financially blind.
So this thing with financial intelligence. Okay, let me go back. Let me backtrack a while.
No, I'm still getting somewhere.
Okay.
Okay. Can you open Hosea chapter 4 verse 6? So you can, why they bring the Bible verse?
I was even thinking about it. What does it even mean to be intelligent?
Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Hosea chapter 4 verse 6. It says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I would reject you for bring my peace. So let's just stick to the A part. Now, when you read that Bible verse, it says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. And if you look at it very well, you see, the question tonight is, why does intelligence not automatically translate into financial progress? And from this Bible verse, we can also see that what knowledge are we actually missing that could change our financial trajectory? You get to my point? And that is why, if you look at it very closely, you would say that this system, it's a system that runs under, I call it the PPC, which is the poverty pressure cycle.
Poverty pressure cycle. Interesting.
Now let me say this. You will notice that so many Nigerians, I don't know if you experienced it, but I did experience it during my NYSC. They call it the forced salary trap. Do you have an idea what it means?
Please go on.
Okay. Now, let's say a young graduate gets a job and the first salary enters the account. What's the first thing that you get?
Blow it.
It's not even blowing it. Then you hear stuff like, oh, your brother is sick, you have to do this. These bills, pressure from home. Did you experience that?
Not really.
You didn't really experience it.
But I can
relate to what I'm saying. Now, at the end of the day, the salary that came in for one person is shared like bread amidst 10 people. Then it comes to a point where, when you were watching the video, somebody talked about being financially responsible. People come about the habit of, oh, let's save, let's do this. But then when you look at how the economy is working, your cost of living, at times it's very difficult to do this extent. And we're going to get into that. And if you look at that young man now, would you say he's irresponsible with his finances?
No.
Good. And that is why you would notice that he's under that pressure. And that is why, you see, when somebody is constantly under financial pressure, you switch to something called a survivor-based strategy. And and this is where the twist is, we're supposed to be living our life for long-term purposes. When you make your decisions, long-term decisions. But when you come under that pressure, it becomes a survival base rather than a strategic base. And that is why you will notice that most of the intelligence you're talking about is focused on solving today's problem, not building wealth for tomorrow. And let me ask you a question. Let's take two different examples. We have somebody that gets 10,000 naira every day. Let's say a bricklayer. He earns 10,000 naira every day. And there's this person that does, let's say he does a shift and then communications, and the person gets 200,000 in a month. And let's say the bricklayer works 5 times in a week, and we have 4 weeks in a month. That makes it 20. So at the end of the day, it's still 200,000. who do you think will be able to more accountable or do more with the money? Is it the bricklayer or the person that works with the communication?
I think the communications person.
Why do you think that?
I assume the person is living a structured life.
Living a structured life. I like that question. I like that answer. And that tells you that, you see, most times one of the problems we have is, you see, this life runs on principles. And when you have myopic in vision, when you always want to solve the now problem, it hinders you from what? Investing. And you look at it, somebody that is getting 10,000 naira every day, what do you want to do with 10,000 naira? You want to buy the food you want to eat, you want to buy probably soap, you want to buy groceries. So you live like on a rotational budget. But somebody that gets the money in bulk can even have access to other funds and say, okay, because you get this amount of money, can even save. And at the end of the day, the difference is you that you're getting your money every day, you are under the constant pressure of solving the now problem. But somebody that gets it at the end of the month can still be able to do one or two things. And that is where the problem comes in, because it comes to a point where survival becomes really urgent. And then the moment survival becomes urgent, long-term thinking, long-term perspective disappears. And that is why we need to ask ourselves today that how many people as of today that are intelligent are trapped in solving the daily problem? Because you don't even have enough money to say you want to invest to start with. You don't even have the money to solve the current problem now, right in front of you, and not to talk of next week, not to talk of next tomorrow. And that is why you would say that when the mind is constantly boggled with solving today's problem, it becomes difficult for us to amass wealth. Now back to the Bible verse which says that what? Lack of knowledge. There are certain types of knowledge that we need to attain when it comes to our finances, when it comes to money management, when it comes to investment. I get to my point. Mm-hmm. And that is going to take me to one very interesting topic. I call it the seed versus the bread. And I would like you to open 2 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 10. Now there's a twist to the Bible verse. 2 Corinthians chapter 9 verse 10. It says, now may he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food supply and multiply the seed you have sown and increase the fruit of your righteousness. But we're going to work with this particular Bible. I said, in my note I says, now he who supplies seed to the sower and bread to the eater. Let's think about it. Not everything that enters your hand is what is meant to be eaten. Irrespective of how difficult the country is, irrespective of how you have bills and Yoruba will say, Owo tomade pakokori, o ma fi jakara. As a young, are you getting it? Are you getting it? So that is it. So we must have the spirit of discernment. One thing, everybody has his time. But one very funny thing with those three elements is you can use time to get knowledge. You can use knowledge to get money. Some people have money. Everybody has time. Okay? Some people have money and time. They use their money to buy other people's time to get more money. Is it making sense? Mm-hmm. And some people have just time. You use the time to acquire knowledge and use the knowledge to solve problems so that you can have money. Do you understand? And that is why you need to be able to identify what you have right now. Everybody has something. Is it seed or bread? Because if you eat your seed, there is no harvest. And you will hear people say, oh, during this time I did this, I did that, I did this, I had money, I did this. And you look at them and you be like, how did you end up like this? Have you seen people like that? They tell you, okay, I sent this person to school, I did this, I did that. And at the end of the day, you start asking yourself, the people you said you invested in, they're doing very well. And most times, people like that have invested their bread. They have eaten their bread, their seed as bread, instead of investing. And there's one thing my friend would tell me, he said, when you, as a young guy, when you're making money, invest in yourself. Because personal development gives the best return on investment. That's one of the best return on investment. Investing disguise itself as seed. And seed requires patience to grow over a period of time. And that is why seed requires discipline, long-term thinking. And as long as we continue to think about the now, life with what people that are courageous. Now imagine you're looking for financial security, you cannot take risks. At the end of the day, the same principles. And you see, people that say, if I perish, I perish. Most times they don't perish. But the problem is, you get to a point in your life where to me said, okay, let's say I come to you and I say, K-Fat, please, I have a problem. I need to pay my rent. I need about 600K. And you have a book. That's the information in that book. So if I'm going to throw that question to you, when you have a book that can solve a problem and somebody say this is money, why do most people go for money from your own experience? Survival. And the problem with survival instinct is you can't continue to survive. You must be able to leave that survival phase and thrive. Are you getting it? And you see, it brings us to a point where you start to look at it and say, okay, what are the systems in place? Pastor has been advocating for systems, structures, and all that. And you see, it is very important that we have systems in place. It's very important, irrespective of your hard work. You see, you can have a very brilliant trader, very, very intelligent. Every of his trades depends on his effort. But trust me, if he does not have a system, he won't be able to scale. And when you work out to a particular level, you can't grow beyond that point. There are times when your growth is dependent on system. Your sustainability depends on system. The question is, what systems are we building in this country to ensure that Nigerians are fine? Because it's played through what people consume. Is it making sense? You agree to that? For example, everybody wants to use money to prove that they are not poor. And that is why we need to have the right information. And the school should not just do, we should be taught. For example, look at this whole idea of this thing that happened late last year about the no assets, there are certain things that are expected of certain people. When you see me using certain things, you should be able to tell and say, oh, this person has this person has this. But to your greatest surprise, none of that. And that is why we need to ask ourselves as individuals, are we really building wealth or are we just performing? Do you understand? Are we performing to be successful in the society? And these are deep conversations that we need to have with ourselves. And I remember when we were watching that video again, somebody talked about intelligence. There's something called the intelligence trap.
Intelligence trap.
Yes. Who is embedded the provision for you. It's just like saying that it's late and you want to drive from here to, let's say, Challenge. School rewards correctness, but the market value itself rewards you based on the value created. Okay. And success in the real world is very different from what we had in school. And that is why they will tell you, welcome to the labor market. Because, in fact, I remember when I went for my IT, when I went to the labor market, it was completely different from what they told us during the induction. And a lot of us can relate to that. And that is why you would say that most times, success in the real world often required you to be courageous. You must be able to adapt. You must understand. The Bible says the men of Issachar understood what Israel... No, it said the men of Issachar understood what Israel... They understood the time and knew what Israel ought to do. The question is, do we even understand the time we are in this country right now as individuals? Do you understand the times that you're in? Pastor will say we are built for a time like this. Do we really understand this time? the many of Issachar, they understood the time. And not only that, they had knowledge of what to do. And I always say this, when there is a will, there's a way. So you can, as difficult as it is, the principle is the principle. On my way here, somebody sent me a picture. It's thought-provoking. And the person said, let me find it. The person said, he says, unfortunately, there will be no evidence that we really tried our best. If we don't make it, that is why we have to make it. You understand? So making it is a must so that you can tell your story. And the real difference between, you see, my friend will say, being delusional and having faith is very similar. It's just a thin line. The difference between having faith is there's a result to show. But when there's no result, you come off as being delusional. There are times when you see some people say, I'm like, that guy, is in his world. But when he gets this, you'll be like, wow, you're a man of faith. You're this. So what really differentiates is result. And one of the problems we have is we are result-driven. And as long as we're in a result-driven environment, we will not be process-based. And if we are not process-based, it becomes a big problem.
All right. So just before, you've said a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
But just before we get any further, or just before we get ahead, you've said a whole lot of things which I also believe needs more clarity. One of the things you've emphasized, especially at the beginning of when you began to explain this concept to us, was the idea of building for tomorrow. You told us about the PPC. Is it the PPT now? The PPT, the
poverty pressure cycle.
And a lot of Nigerians are there, especially young Nigerians are in that. And it's as though there's a system that is directing that that cycle. That cycle that the best you can think of is yourself today. But again, I need you to answer that question for us. So what should I need to answer my question, like I'm drowning right now. I need to answer the question of drowning. Yes, you've told us about the fact that there's a need to be processed, there's a need to study, there's a need to gather the intelligence, the knowledge, and all of that. But what would you say to people, to someone who have to actually survive for today? We understand that, of course, there's a point where you have to begin to thrive. But I have these needs to be met. I don't have food. I need to eat today.
Okay, you see, there's this thing. I hope I get that law correct. It says Abraham Maslo's law of hierarchy states that a man would cater for his immediate need. Now, for most of us, you'll notice that most of us, the problem we have is even basic amenities. Someone can't even eat well, not to talk of even changing clothes. And that is why it keeps us in the loop. And it seems as though poverty is being weaponized. And honestly, my answer is still my answer. We need to actually break forth.
To break forth. But the how?
How, that's good. Now, we need to understand what is working in our system at that time. Do you understand? I don't want to make some examples because online, but what I'm trying to say is, when you understand what is working, there's a way God would help you to position. I used to be in this cycle of insecurity 2019, 2020. In fact, it started from 2017. I was trying so many things. So I can relate. And that's why I said that everybody has something. Time, money, knowledge. As difficult as it is, you must use your time to find either knowledge or money. I get to my point. It is very difficult. And that is what we need to do.
Now knowledge. How come, definitely, when we say someone is intelligent, it means that They
knowledgeable.
They are knowledgeable at best. They have a high knowledge of something or some things. But so why or how come is it that people can be so intelligent or knowledgeable in this context and not translate to financial emancipation?
Good. You see, one of the problems we have is most times we don't have the right knowledge.
Okay, so it's not just
That-
about having
that
the knowledge.
It's having the right knowledge. Now, you see, there is something, I used to have this note. It says, for example, in this economy, we would say a nurse is supposed to be paid this particular amount of money. But if you look at it very well, a TikToker gets paid more than a nurse. Now, there's a difference, and this is where it becomes really interesting, because when you look at it, a nurse is worth more than a TikToker. But when you look at it very well, the market is saying the opposite. And that's why I say you need to understand the system that you're in. What is working? What is working doesn't make it right. Do you understand? So, because it's working doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. And because it's the right thing to do doesn't mean it is acceptable in the marketplace. And that is structured based on your environment. And that is why you will see that so many people are now pivoting into what the market is paying. Now, what the market is paying today might be different from what the market will pay tomorrow. And that is when you will have to be able to transition. At some point, some people were doing skits. They were making so much money, they transferred to streaming. You can see the level of adaptability to be able to you understand. And if you don't quickly evolve, what happens is you are left behind. And that's the concept of change. Change is very silent. For example, a woman gets pregnant.
Yes.
The day she gets pregnant, she doesn't know she's pregnant. It takes a couple of what? The moment you identify that change has happened, it's late. The moment you can say, oh, something has changed, it has already happened. So you must be, I remember when we started AI, we did Waiting Be AI. There's a sister of mine, invited her for the program. She was doing UI, UX and all that. I said, leave this thing and go straight into prompt engineering. She said, no. Guess what? 3 days ago, she messaged me, hello, sir, please, do you have any book on prompt engineering? Guess what? Claude has replaced all of those things. Now, there's a particular feature on Claude that it can, if I'm not mistaken, it can, I think, write 3,000 lines of code in 4 minutes or so. Now, tell me how you can meet up to that speed. I think Claude 4.5. It was a conversation with my friend. But it was something around that value. Now, tell me how, and that is why it becomes very difficult. We have time. You use your time to get the right, it's not just being knowledgeable, having the right knowledge of what works in your environment. So you can't be saying, and that is why when you resist change, it's to your own detriment. And that's what, and I'm not saying these two, and that is why the God factor is very important. There are times, look at Lazarus when he wanted to see Jesus. Lazarus did something it's called strategic positioning. It was a very short man. Zacchaeus, yeah. Not Lazarus. Zacchaeus. I lost you. Zacchaeus, he was short and he wanted to see Jesus. What did he do? He ran, the Bible said he ran ahead of the crowd. Not only that, what did he do? He climbed a tree. For someone of that stature. So we need that strategic positioning. I remember when I got in this industry then, I just saw the way the country was moving, and that time they closed. I used to have a restaurant, doing very good numbers, and all of a sudden one policy came. They closed the border. We couldn't import again. We had to cut our profit margin. I just had to rethink, like, bro, this thing is not sustainable. I had to move into finance, move into online tech and all of these things. And when I talk to my friends, they'll be like, what's it month here? Honestly, at that time, I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that there was a sense of direction and there was a sense of urgency for me to move. And I think that is why we as individuals, most especially as Christians, we need to be able to talk to God so that He can give us the direction There are times I just have this leading to just go somewhere and I'll have access to certain informations. And I feel like it's the same for a lot of us too. And until we start to, because life is based on principles, yeah? There's the miracle part to life. There is the principle part to life. Miracle is like a one-time thing, yeah? But when you live your life based on principles, it's much better. And there are certain principles. You need to understand the principle that works in life. You need to understand the principle of the marketplace. In your industry, you need to know what works. The moment you don't know what works, it becomes a problem for you. Because it's a give and take thing. The market is a just rewarder. It's a garbage in, garbage out thing. So you can be very valuable to your family members and all that, and people see you in high esteem. But trust me, the market will reward you based on the value that you bring.
Yes.
That is why you have people in the workplace and somebody is getting as much as times 10. They have the same hours. They have the same head. But what's the difference? The value they bring. And that is why the marketplace is a value system place. And that is why as individuals, you should, in fact, one of the biggest thing for youth right now, if you're watching this, is to look for solutions to big men's problem. Provide solutions to people that can pay so much. That is the act to it. But you cannot provide solutions when you don't have access to the right information. And even if you have access to the right information, if your bills are sitting right in front of you, you would have myopia, where all you see is the bills.
So again, so how do we help people, including myself, see past this need for daily survival, where I can get to a place to say, yes, I know I'm surviving for today, but there's something I need to set up for tomorrow that will help me for the longest run possible?
There's this quote I have. I can't remember it right now. Do you know that because you're suffering now doesn't mean you will not suffer tomorrow? You see, until you do something different. And that is why you don't have an excuse. If you say, oh, the bills right in front of you, the bills will not stop. And that is why you must find a way. And I said earlier, when there's a will, there's a way. Irrespective of, see, there's always a reason not to do something. There's always a justifiable reason not to do something. But the question is, at the end of the day, what happens? If you're suffering now, the only difference between somebody suffering now and somebody that's investing now is they are both suffering. But the person investing and making sure is developing on his or herself is that he knows that this suffering is short-lived. But the other person that is just living, I'm like, oh, the country is bad, everybody. There's nothing is going to change. And that is why, whether we like it or not, we have to ensure that we seek the desired knowledge, the right information, irrespective of how difficult it is. I remember back then when I was starting off, bro, it was hard. Going to work is hard. Working for someone is hard. Starting your own business is hard. At the end of the day, you need to choose your heart. You need to choose. See, I always tell my students, I'll be like, there is nothing easy in life. But make sure that the heart you are choosing, by the time you get the reward for the heart you are choosing, is going to be way more rewarding than just choosing any random heart.
You spoke about seed, and I really saw that Bible verse in a different light today. You know, it gives
seed and bread.
Yes, seed and bread. In fact, from the way I saw it, is as though that there's this someone that God knows that this person will sow this thing. This person sows always. So let's just give him that seed because he knows what to do with it. Let's give this person bread because he needs the bread to survive, right? But this is where I'm going. How can someone identify their seed?
and bread.
And bread. And even when they identify their seed, how are they meant to grow it? Should they use the normal farming processes, the natural farming process that we know, or is there another knowledge that we need to know in terms of sowing our seed and growing it to the place where it can generate or build it to a bakery where we can get more bread out of it?
Okay, let me tell you a story. There's this man, he has 2 sons, and he wanted to die. Then he gave them 2 bags of grains. Okay? The first child, or son A, decided to be eating this grain, cooking because he was hungry. So what do you have to eat? Son B decided to plant. They both have justifiable reasons for what they did. But when you subject their action to time, son B had multiple harvests. Son A was left with no food. Now, what does that tell us? It tells us that at the same grain, same father, same situation, different outcomes. Somebody decided to eat this grain because it was hungry. Another person thought that, okay, let me suffer now so that I will not suffer later. And that's why I tell you that everybody has one thing. As I told you, that we have time, money, and knowledge. Everybody has time. The question is, what are you doing with your time? Are you getting my point? Some people are researching. We have informations out there. Money is moving from one industry to the other. Before, it used to be in crypto. Before, it used to be in this. Now, money is moving into the AI space. Some people are actively investing in that space. Now, years to come, you know, this person's portfolio quadrupled, this person tripled, this person's portfolio doubled, and you are there. What's the difference between you and that person? Access to information. So at the end of the day, one thing we need to pray for, and one thing I always pray for, is light. I always pray, God, shine light on my path. Because the truth is, when you understand what needs to be done, and when God directs your path, trust me, you would not even understand how things are going to be working for you. And that is why I'm big on God. See, I always say this thing. Somebody that has a great vision needs a great God. Do you understand? Now, how does it work? There are certain visions you have that you know that this thing, by your strength, even the Bible says, by your strength I know my prevail, or something like that. You know that this vision that you have, you cannot implement it. You need a higher authority. And that is why people see the need for spirituality. Because, you see, I heard one message said, prayer is not in the success equation. What is in the success? Prayer is in the revelation equation. When you pray, God reveals things to you. And you have to execute that thing. Yeah. Because the industry you are in is running on a principle. So if you don't understand the principle of your industry, you will always be found wanting.
So, just I still have many more questions, but our time is fast spent. I want you to talk to us now. Two is like a 2-in-1 question. For you, has it always been like this? And secondly, how were you able to leave the trap of daily survival?
Bro, that question, First of all, let me tell you a quick story. I'm this kind of person that I believe in 1 + 1, like 1 + 1 is 2 and all that. And I hit rock bottom. You know when you hit rock bottom, like things were really bad for me.
Sorry, at what period was this?
Around 2019, 2020. Things were so bad I had to go back home. When I went back home, my mom just thought I just came home and 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. At some point she was like, Shekosi. But I knew that during that phase, I was doing two things. I was praying to God for light, and I was studying like mad. I took up some courses on finance. I took up some strategies and all that. My life then was just God around my book. God around my book. I'm telling you, there are certain industries that when you go into them, lock in for 6 months, your life will not remain the same. But the question is, do you have that 6 months to lock in? Because this thing is a factor of time. To acquire knowledge takes time. And one of the problems a lot of us have is, how do we sort our bills while we acquire the knowledge? And that's a real question you're asking me. Honestly, there's no black and white to it. When there's a will, there's a way. That's the only answer I can give to you.
Man.
There's no like, okay, do this. Because back then too, I just knew that I committed to it. Life was hard. There are times I'll not eat. There are times I have to call my friend to subscribe for me. But I knew one way or the other, I was able to pass and survive that phase.
Where there's a will, there's a way. I mean, I will say that this has been a very enlightening one. I love what you did with opening up the conversation from your own standpoint of view, from your experience and your notes and all of that. And thankfully, I feel that this conversation has been able to, in a way, dealt with that idea of this, because of the theme is why intelligent Nigerians are stuck. That's stuck. I think you've been able to demystify that idea, and really it's really concerning, and it's the reality for many Nigerians, even beyond being intelligent or not intelligent. This idea that people are faced with the challenge of having to face life every day, and it's almost like a cycle. But then you've heard it, when there's a will, there's a way. You have something to say?
Yeah, let me just leave us with this. You see, one thing I want us to all agree to is Nigerian does not lack intelligent people.
Definitely.
Good. But one thing we lack are systems and the mindset. And one last thing, the financial education that converts that intelligence into prosperity.
Which I think...
the goal is not just to be intelligent. The goal is to be economically wise.
The goal is not just to be intelligent, but to be economically wise.
Now, the question is, how will you be economically wise?
So let's have a final answer on that.
You are going to be economically wise by trying to study to show yourself approved. So everything thrives on information. Do you know that the difference between you and somebody that you're looking up to is the knowledge gap? I always tell my students, the difference between me and you is I know something you don't know. So the question is, how do you know what I know? By seeking for the knowledge and invest the same time I did. Because it's one thing to seek for knowledge.
Yes.
It's one thing to be able to invest time. And that's why I said there's a point in your life where you would have so much time, abundance of time. There's a time in your life where responsibility becomes so tight that it becomes very deep. What used to be easy for you becomes more difficult because you are now risk averse. Your risk appetite has reduced. So one thing I tell people is always make sure that you are getting it early. Fail early.
And this is for young people.
Fail early. Because the older you grow, the more difficult it is for you to restart. So it's easier to restart early in your 20s. It's less easier to restart in your 30s. And it's almost... There was one time I was having a conversation with Pastor Mike, and it was like, these people started at 60. Even as Baba Ati Dagba actually restart. But how many people can really restart at 60? They just accept fate.
Amazing. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Myus. I must say that you've done a level of justice to this, and I'm really grateful that you came on board to talk about, and even talking about your own experience, which for me is...
God factor. There's one thing I always tell people. God factor. Without God, I don't know. God factor is very important.
Which for me makes it more realistic, because so that we don't just talk at people so that it doesn't seem like we are taking something from thin air. And I'm hoping that you've been blessed. But 3 things stood out for me in today's conversation is establishing the truth that for many Nigerians, we are stuck in the daily survival trap. We have to meet today's need. But the answer to that is that while you are there, there's got to be that understanding that while I'm surviving today, I've got to build something for tomorrow, a system, something that helps me,
there's a quote
that liberates me for tomorrow.
The quote says, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. It doesn't say stop working on your job. But while you're working on your job, ensure that you are working harder. Now, you work harder. That means if you're working a particular amount of time, you double it on your own self. And that is why personal development gives the best return on investment.
So, to add to that, from what he said, is that while you are an intelligent person, you've got to find a way to translate that into economic power. And he has done justice to that. And thank you very much once again for coming here. So the third thing for me is also what you said, the God factor. We don't just want to rely on our knowledge to say that I'm intelligent. Why am I not doing this? Maybe perhaps it's time for someone to go to God to really get a blueprint, to say, God, here I am. And to release yourself to actually ask that, has there been any point God has given you a seed where you ate it? Or has there been any point where you actually sowed the seed, it was growing, but you didn't allow it to mature, and then you don't have bread? He gives seed to the sower, he gives bread to the eater. Who are you going to be today? Yes, you have to survive, but who are you at the end of the day? Are you a sower? Are you sowing into the right knowledge? Because I think that's another major factor, the right knowledge. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but do you have the knowledge for today's market? I think that's one important thing that we must not miss out from this conversation. Things are changing. Things are changing. The definition for intelligence is also changing. What we define as being intelligent is changing.
Yeah.
Back then, you could say you are intelligent by knowledge only, and we wouldn't care if you are rich or poor, or you have money or not. But now, everything is result-oriented. If you are intelligent, there's got to be a corresponding factor to that to show that you are really intelligent. And the scripture backs it up to talking about the poor and the rich person.
Yes. He said at the end of the day, he said the wisdom of the poor man was used to solve the problem in the city. But at the end, after the whole thing was over, the poor man was forgotten.
So we can't go any further than this. We can only hope that these words liberate you. We can only hope that you find something you can hold on to from all of this that is being said. And once again, thanks to Mr. Myus for coming on board, for going extensively. I'm sure that if we leave you, we'll just go on and on and on, but we have to go tonight. So join us again next week. But before then, Saturday, we have our leadership meeting, 7 a.m. right here at the Bridge Network City Church. On Sunday, we resume our service times, 8 a.m. for the Real Success Seminar, 9:30 for the network service. And we also have a new series for the month of March. We have the Problem Solving OS. Pastor kept emphasizing on the need for us not to run away from problems. And I also think it relates to this conversation. If you're an intelligent person and you keep running away from problems, there's no way you'll break free. And I'm speaking to myself too. Not that I'm talking at you, I'm speaking to myself too. So come, let's learn together. And also for network service, we have stewardship and assignment, and I'm sure that God is going to bless you. Please ensure to follow us on all our social media platforms. We are readily available. If you need us to pray for you, pray with you, we are readily available. Just reach out to us, and I'm sure that there will be someone there to respond to you. And also, there's a new streams hub here. If you're a freelancer, you're looking for somewhere to work away from home, trust me, we have a platform for you here to work. We have unlimited internet for you to work. Great. We have the poolside. We have the restaurant for you to grab something to eat. So, what else are you looking for? Come here to the newsroom and newsrooms hub. Kayode Sanni is my name. And till I see